Brilliant. Okay, recording now. Welcome. Welcome, everyone, to our free breathwork support call. We had quite a few people around the globe actually saying that they weren't able to be on it. Understandably, it's probably 3 o'clock in the morning for a lot of people out there. So we're going to go. We had also quite a few questions come through too, which is amazing. So we'll be able to go ahead and answer some of those questions and then open it up to anyone else who's on the call with us. If you've got any questions that you'd like us to go through or issues that you'd like us to talk to you about.
So even though this is a support call for, and you put down there as breath workers, we also open this up to anybody who runs businesses, lives a life, has a belly button. If they got some problems, bring them because there hasn't really been a problem that we've seen yet that our breathing practice hasn't been able to sort of sort out for us or give us the headspace to sort out. So as I said before, it's open to anybody who wants to really come onto the call.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. So prior to the recording, which we didn't get on recording, but I'll say this as a recommendation for everyone out there. Before you start any session, a really strong way of connecting with your clients or connecting with somebody is to breathe with them. So if you take a few moments, take 2 or 3 big breaths or big sighs together, it kind of relaxes everybody in the same time that it builds rapport with somebody.
Yeah, and just touch on that. As you guys know, Angie and I have studied a lot of different change modalities and over the years, and in the NLP world, they have the building rapport. Angie just mentioned it, and we've said before, breathing is one of the oldest communication systems that you have. So, getting in sync with someone's breathing, breathing with somebody is probably one of the best bases to build rapport with them. So it really gets you into sync with people.
Yeah. Well, we'll go ahead and get started with some of the questions that we have here. And it's interesting because quite some of them we get quite often. So, thank you to everyone who sent in questions because it will help everybody involved. So Wendy from embodiedlove.com put in a question about anything having to do with the business of breathing. She'd mentioned she loves breathing, everything about it. She's wants to become practitioner. She's doing quite a few different things, coaching and that sort, and she wants to really start using the breath work. And yeah, that's a good question. How do you build a business around thin air? So Shane and I have definitely been working on that in the last 12 months. I think that where it starts, especially when it comes to the business of breathing, where it starts is the strongest foundation is you doing it yourself. And that's getting on the floor every morning or getting on your yoga mat every morning or meditation cushion and taking that time out for yourself first and having those experiences for yourself and getting yourself ready for the day, clear, focused, ready to create for the day. Then following from there, it's creating a plan. A lot of people, it just depends on where you are in your business. It's always about planning. You've heard, plan, build a plan or plan to fail sort of a thing. I think probably one of the top things that have made a really big difference for us is what do your clients want? What do people want? What does your ideal client want? Who is your ideal client? And if you haven't identified that, that's a very worthwhile experience to sit down and identify. Generally, if you've already gotten started, you can start with who's your raving fans? Who do you like working with the most and start there?
Businesses, Angie has a different mind around business than I do. Right? Business, most of the systems, most of the things to build a business are out there. You don't really need much. You need clients. You need somewhere to run from. Most people can run their businesses from home. And just to add to what Angie said, who do the people that you work with, who do you want them to become, or who do they want to become? That's what you're really giving to them is putting them into their future self is a great way to be able to solve problems. Everyone talks about, you solve the client's problem. Well, people are trying to get somewhere. They're trying to get to something, and you're going to have a solution for that. So start having a think about the people that you work with is, who are they? Where do they want to go? Where are they going? And who do they want to be? That's a great way to be able to look at it. And then you'll be able to build your products and services around that. Luckily for us in the breathing business, like I said before, everyone breathes. Everyone has a belly button. So we have, pretty much our clients are everybody. Some of the challenges, though, that we have had is that breathing is breathing. Everyone breathes. I mean, do you know how many times we have people say to us, "What do you do?" And we go, "Oh, we do breathing." And they go, "Oh, I breathe." And it's like, well, yeah, I cook, but I'm not that good at it. Right? Like, so there are differences in actively taking control of your breathing mechanism and unlocking what's in that, like the richness that comes with you taking that on. So in the business, some of the things that we've also found with the breathing business is that don't limit yourself to only marketing breathing. You're marketing a state of mind. You're marketing a lifestyle. You're marketing so many different things that people are after. They're really, people don't want to feel like shit. So, we tell them breathe and you won't. And, it's not a silver bullet, but it's something that will lift you out of negative moods. And as most of you know, we're the only ones that get in the way of our businesses. So if you're running a business, just understand you are the one that shoots yourself in the foot all the time. You're the one that's always in your own way. We've just found that with the breathing, it just lifts you out. It allows you to step back. It allows you to have more of an objective view of your clients, of people as Angie said before, practicing getting on the mat yourself, because you know what, you'll become a better person to be around. And you won't notice it, but in dealing with clients, customers, or dealing day to day with people, if you're not at your best, it doesn't matter. You can try and pretend that people don't get vibes or get energy from you. And I used to be like that, energy, whatever. They do, trust me. If in your mind you're thinking to yourself, oh, they're not going to buy this from me. Oh, what am I doing here? If you've got all these negative thoughts racing around your head, you're going to give off that vibe to people. It's, it's just the way things are. Like, and don't, again, don't believe me, because you've got to find out for yourself. But just when it comes to that business, and I know I'll get on around here, just when it comes to that business side of things, it really does come down to who you are. And that's why we've taken on the breathing practice, no matter what. I mean, we run different businesses as well. We're not always in the breathing business. So, we're invested in tech companies, we're doing real estate stuff, and the breathing has really permeated all of that. And
young,
really,
high energy children.
and really taken us to a different level from that. So business, the foundations of business can be found. We have a really great coach and mentor that we use, and we would suggest that everybody get a coach and a mentor, because no matter what you think, how good you think you are, or how crap you think everyone else is, somebody is going to see something that you don't see. Somebody is going to have the time to lay out a structure for you, and just see the gaps. And sometimes that's all you need. We'll include a resource at the bottom of this page for a book that our mentor wrote, and it's just got some real simple stuff in there to help you. The book's called Bulletproof Business, and it's got some stuff in there to really help you build a bulletproof business.
Well, what we'll do is I'll post it into the event page. So if you go to Breathe Me on Facebook, there is an event, if you're not already on that event, for this free breathwork support call. So what I'll do is I'll post that resource in there for how to get it there. Yeah. So we actually have a few mentors. Shane was, talking about mentors. We've gone through a lot of mentors as well. And you when you find one that you vibe with, or find one that is where you want to be, or can help you get to where you want to be, that's where you want to use them, because they'll see things that you can't see. So we've got a mentor in breathing. We've got a mentor in business.
Your mentors are... You'll come to a point where you either grow with them or grow out of them. What you need to understand is that doesn't make anybody more or less as a mentor if you've come to the end of the road with a mentor. So we've come to understand that the gold is in the learning that you get from that person regardless. So, always have the utmost respect for your mentors. And as we said before, if you come into that relationship, just make sure you come into that relationship not with a less than, but ready to learn. And that's the main thing. It's just taking the learnings from every, relationship and engagement that you have.
Yeah. And while we're talking, if you have any questions, so I'd like to invite you to just put into the chat box your questions as we go along, and we'll make sure that we get all of them before we complete today.
Now, if we didn't cover all, yes. So Wendy, if you didn't get the answer that you needed on the business of breathing, please let us know. Write in some more. Yeah. You can write in some more detailed questions in there if you have questions. As we said before, this is also a Bring Your Problems webinar, and we're going to be running a few of these because I love problems. I love them.
I give them lots.
I have a smorgasbord of them. And quality problems I really like, because it's, as I said before, there's nothing that we haven't found that the breathing hasn't been able to solve.
That's right. So. And when it comes to breathing, breathwork, business, these sorts of things, it's not about the breathing, but it is about the breathing. And what I mean by that is breathing is a key element to it. And also it's not about that, because it's what it actually gives you. So especially if you're coach, mentor, even getting into the breathwork business, the business of breathing, it's important to keep that in mind, because it's not all about the breath, but it's what it gives you. And it's a good idea to niche off. Like if you're wanting to go into breathwork, it's great to niche off into something specific, because there's so many modalities that you can go down within breathwork. There's pregnancy, there's high peak performance, there's mental health and wellness, there's a whole spread of different sorts of ways that you can go down. So I highly suggest that you pick one that resonates with you, that you know of really well, that you've experienced yourself, and specialize in that.
The other thing too is it just to start out, I think one of the things that most people do is they freeze in the headlights. So they think, oh, I'm going to start a business. Here I go. And they don't go anywhere, and they don't do anything. Just start out by getting a group of people together. You can throw out a simple advertisement on social media. Most people know how to do that. Get a group together. Esteban.
Welcome, Esteban.
Get a group together and just run a session. That's all you have to do. You just, it doesn't have to be paid. It can be free. You run the session, you do it regularly enough. You're going to get some practice yourself. You're going to get used to people being in the session with you. And you're going to start to quickly work out who are the target clients that you want in the session. So, just really go ahead and put an ad out, get a group of people together and start that way. It'll eventually turn into a business for you.
And look, Shane and I have run events and no one has showed before. And it's actually really important to experience moments of that, where you create an event or you create some place where you show up and you're so excited to be able to teach and share what you know, and then no one shows up. Now, there's a few ways that you can take that. One is, I failed. Or no one wants to come and learn what I've got to say. Maybe I should do something else. And then there goes your brain going down on a rant onto a path where you don't want to go. The reason why it's really important to experience and having an event where no one's there is have the event anyway. For you're there. even if you're the only one there, do record yourself, do some videos, share your knowledge, and show up for yourself, and the momentum will start from there.
Also, take the time, if no one shows up, take the time to breathe. Yeah. Just get on the ground and
breathe. Give yourself a session. Give yourself a session.
I still worry about no one turning up to our sessions.
He does.
I do. It just, no one's gonna come.
Gets me.
Trust me, it's a natural thing to go through. So don't put yourself down. That'll be the thing that will really kill you if you let that negative self-talk get on top of you, and you don't use the time or utilize the time that you have if you do set things up.
That's a really great point. Any sort of, like, when you feel the negative self-talk coming up, or the doubts, or the critic, or whatever you want to call it for yourself, when you feel it come up, think, what a wonderful opportunity to learn something here and to do something about it. So anytime, it's about, I love, Dan Burleigh said this to us one time, there's a lot of ups and downs. It's about getting real comfortable with the downs and knowing how to turn it around real quick, because it's inevitable. This is life.
It's a cycle. Everything's a cycle. Life cycles everywhere. So there's always going to be dry patches. There's always going to be times where you thought something was going to be a certain way and it either doesn't turn out or it turns out differently. Just understand that the universe and life is always slapping you with a wet fish to get back on your path. You only come up against obstacles when you're not. So just understand it's just a gentle reminder to just shift you back onto your path. Yeah.
One thing that I've personally noticed is that the more I breathe, especially when I don't want to, it's like I'm putting myself through something that feels like uncomfortable or difficult. So it's almost like I can choose the uncomfortable that I experience. So if I put myself through that and move through my own self-doubts, it makes it a whole lot easier moving through the self-doubts that life throws at me.
Okay.
So that's good. Okay, good.
Question.
So Brandy came in with a question about what certification is recommended to become a breath coach. Well, there's lots of them out there. We haven't tried all of them, but we do have one that we highly recommend because we've been working with him since February this year. We've worked with him directly, personally, and that's Dan Burleigh. And he's actually asked us to help him with...
We're partnering with him. We're partnering with
him. Bringing the business of breathwork to the world.
Yeah. So as Angie said before, I'm relentless with research, and I'm a real ball breaker when it comes to interviewing people and
I don't know how
and talking to people. So I'm very particular on what I want and how I want to do things, and that can be difficult sometimes, and that's my own thing that I need to deal with. But what we do find is we do tend to find who is the best, who is doing things, not only the best, but people that have been in it a long time. Dan's been in this business for over 40 years. We had the pleasure of having him actually stay in our house. It was a bit of a plan by me because I wanted to see what he was like as well. So we had him stay in our house, and
he's brilliant.
He is. He walks his talk.
He's a brilliant human being.
He walks his talk. He practices himself. The knowledge and the presence that comes from him can only be felt from somebody who has done the practice, who has been there. There's no way of faking that. So just understand also with the certification requirements and stuff that he has, is you can go and get certified in breathwork anywhere, and really it comes down to how you practice it, because you know what? There's only three things you can do in breathing. You can breathe in, you can breathe out, and you can hold your breath. So it's, although there's many other experiences it gives you, breathwork itself really comes down to who you are and who's operating, and how you are presenting and how you are connecting with people. So just with that question, Brady, I mean, of course, we're going to recommend Dan's course. We are actually in the process of improving and help improving the course, the delivery of that course, the content, because it's breathing itself is coming into the 21st century. It's the next wave in performance. It's the next wave in health and wellness. Even though it's the oldest thing, that's been around in the circles of meditation and altered states and all of these things. You can read any religious spiritual text and you'll find a reference to breathing in there, the Bible included. It's all through the Bible. So, for me personally, not that I consider that a validated source, but it's everywhere. It's everywhere. I'll let my little prejudices slip there. It's everywhere. So you can check anywhere and see that. So we would highly recommend Dan's practitioner course. We have just finished filming a 7-day foundational fundamentals course with Dan that will be available early next year. Yeah. I would say now, by the time we get it onto the online platform. Yeah. And that is going to give you a really good idea of what's available. And as I said, for my skeptical, really fast-paced mind, the way Dan teaches the fundamentals was just it was exactly what I wanted, because whether you're a breath worker, whether you're a coach, whether you're in a corporate job, or it doesn't matter what you do, you can plug breathing and breath work, whether it's for yourself or for your clients, into anything that you're doing. And we would highly recommend that everyone out there that is in the change business or in the healing business, that you have some kind of plug-in for breath work in your business.
Yeah. Very, very good. Good. So that's Brandy. So the next question comes from Miranda. And I'm really glad that she brought this point up. She's bringing up the subject of rebirthing, and basically their past experiences in the early 19. Yes.
Rebirthing, for those of you who have never heard of it, is a breathing technique. It's a very simple and probably one of the most powerful breathing techniques. It refers to a circular breath. It refers to a breathing method that is a circular breath with no holds and no pauses. The name rebirthing, for whatever reasons, people think that rebirthers are cult leaders. There was a big push. As you know, with anything that gets popular, and this will probably happen with breathwork as we move forward into the future, with anything that gets popular, you're always going to have the stick pokers that want to come out and say, oh, it's a cult. Oh, it's evil. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. It's always going to happen. And do you know what? That is when you know that something's on the up. So if you get people saying to you, oh, this breathing stuff, it's weird and it's cold, just know, all right, I'm onto something here, because the naysayers will all come out in droves and tell you it's wrong. So in the 70s, rebirthing got a bad name for whatever reason. It still has a distasteful name. We're yet to find out exactly what it's about. However, it seems that in Australia, especially, I'm not too sure about the US and around the world, it seems to have a little bit of a dicey name. So in business, we like to call them pineapple words, where you just don't use them. They're words that if you say them, people on first impression are gonna go, whoa, I don't want to be involved in that. I heard about it. This is what I think. I have an opinion. And you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you have to start defending your position, because that does not look good. So if you do use the word and someone has a bit of a weird reaction, just move on from the subject, or ask them a question.
Well, this actually comes into perfect timing for, when I said before about niching yourself off. So if people ask about the rebirthing, one question could be, well, what's your experience with rebirthing? And just see where they are, and then also use, I specialize in breathing for birthing, or breathing for peak performance, or these sorts of things. So it gives you something. It gives you your modality, your specialty, your niche to come back with.
Yeah, a great thing. If someone asks you about breathing or rebirthing or whatever it is, just ask them. Just say, what problem is it that they have that they're investigating or they're asking about breathing? If they say, oh, well, I've got depression. Say, great. Well, I do breathing for depression. It's you're answering that question. I mean, we all know that it doesn't matter what type of breathing you do, really. Once you start actively breathing, you're gonna improve your health parameters. You're gonna improve your mental and physical health. Like we've seen it now over the hundreds of people that we've breathed with or put through breathing, that it didn't really matter what method we used, whether it was, this method, that method, it didn't really matter. Everybody got a shift out of the state that they were in to something different.
Yeah.
And that's probably one of the most important things. Although breathing can be a very powerful tool and does need to be respected, really the only way to do that is to do the breathing yourself and understand the journey that comes along with it.
Yeah. And knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. The more you study, the more you learn, the more you do, the more you're active in moving yourself forward, the easier these conversations will be to have.
So, Miranda.
So Miranda was asking about how to get started as well.
Okay, well, we've kind of covered that, but
so it's just one thing that one of our mentors years and years and years ago said, flap your gums, meaning like just start talking. Just start telling people about what you do. You might feel clunky at the start, but when you keep talking about it and talking about it and talking about it, you'll hear yourself, you'll fine tune yourself. The more practice you do, the better you get. And it's like that exponential curve. The more you talk about it, the more people know about it. And eventually one day, your business will take off. So the more you talk about it, the faster growth you'll have. So it's about not being scared to get out there and just fearlessly, breathing into your own confidence and taking yourself out there.
I mean, take for example this call. We just decided that we would just use the power of the internet and get on a call and share what we're doing casually with everyone. I mean, we don't come on here and rehearse anything. I get off and start ranting on stuff. It's
the touch on the knee.
This is literally how you build a business. See,
yourself.
Exactly. People in their own mind think that people that own businesses are some kind of different breed, and they're not. They're ordinary people. If you want to even use that word, they're ordinary people doing things. So we still have all these things that we do. We come on here. Sometimes we write things down. Sometimes we don't. But really, I think if a community of people can get together, and you can get a lot of people on a call like this, and you can have problems that people can bring in, they can ask about, and the collective mind of all those people will be able to solve that problem. I'm totally positive of that. It's I've seen it in action before, and that's why we're going to have more of these calls, and reaching out to everyone out there in the community. Breathing, it just has that special ability when you have a group of people together and everyone breathes together to open things up. We've been learning from a biochemical point of view that the breathing will have you switch from the steady drip of cortisol waking state consciousness. It switches you to a higher genius. It allows pleasure hormones to turn on instead of the cortisol, so it switches you over. It actually does this switch in your mind, so you actually have a greater capacity for bonding. You have a greater capacity for problem solving, pattern recognition. It really opens up the genius mind and connects you with your body. So just understand as a powerful tool for influencing yourself and influencing other people as well around you. And it's not talking at them, it's just how you are. You'll have a presence that will influence other people.
Yep. Good. Well, Esteban just put in a question here too. Without being in the health industry before, how would you suggest to market yourself, especially being so many yoga teachers out there? Very good question. I think there's a lot of people that could benefit from this.
You're gonna check the start of the call, Esteban, and we did throw a few things out there on this.
This is good because specifically if you've got no background in the health and wellness industry, of course when you jump from one industry to another, and I think that you come from like a tech background coming into the health industry, they're like polar opposites. So yeah, absolutely. I think the best place to get started is having experiences yourself. Because when you have these experiences yourself, you can come from a point of being able to come from your experience. I felt that, this is how I used to be. I had this experience and now I feel like this, and it's changed my life. So and you'll be able to connect with people personally from personal stories.
Also, just an expert is self-proclaimed. Like, there's no definition for an expert. You are an expert when you say, I'm an expert. And the only thing is, you got to be able to back your shit up. You've got to be able to, if you're going to call yourself an expert, be ready to back yourself up. Be ready, and that comes, as Angie said, that comes from getting on the mat. It's
experiences.
The doing the 7-day intensive that you did with us, Esteban, that's more breathing education than that's almost as much breathing education as Angie and I have done. It's just that we've got quite a few more hours probably breathing, than that's the only thing that separates us in that. So really, spending as much time as you can breathing yourself, and then again, just on the side, do it on the side. Just offer to give people one-to-one sessions, do small group sessions, breathing circles. Just start them up, get people together, and just cut your teeth on getting involved in doing it. Because the more, it's like when I first started out doing my PT business, obviously I came out of the military, so I was lucky enough that I'd trained hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, everything from groups of 500 people down to one-to-one. Yeah. So like a lot of people. So, but when I came out, I was still nervous when I had my first one-to-one client. What am I going to do? How am I going to do it? And what came to me was just being casual, having a session with them. When you're in that kind of client instructor role, or that kind of thing, you can tend to change things where you don't need to. Keeping things casual is the best way, because that's the best way to build your confidence. So just have casual breathing circles. How powerful the experiences are. So that if everyone comes and you ask them to be responsible for themselves and put in the time, listen to the instructions, and then they're going to have an experience.
Yeah. I just want to highlight that again, because this is actually a very big turning point for us in our business, and breathing with people is having people feel like they're responsible for their experience. So even setting that up at the start, you're going through an experience now, you can't breathe somebody else. They can only breathe themselves. So they are responsible for their experience. So, encouraging them to listen and go along with the experience and play full out.
The important, and this is, if you're in negotiation, if you're in any business setting, one of the most important things is to ask somebody where they want to be and how they're going to get there, and how will they know that how will they know that they got what they wanted.
When they've got there. And
also, cut through the bullshit with them too. Like if someone says, I want to be Wonder Woman in 5 minutes after my breathing session, it's got to be realistic. Maybe. It's their version, but it's got to be realistic. You guys get what I mean. It's you've got to understand from that person what's realistic and what do they actually want, and establish that with them and ask them, even if it's a casual session. Just have the, I guess, the word balls comes to mind. Have the balls to ask them. Told you this is unfiltered.
Boy.
Just be upfront with people and say to them, look, what do you want to get out of it? And then that way you're setting them up to win, and you're setting yourself up as a facilitator of something rather than, oh, I want you to fix my problems.
Yeah. And that's really important. In fact, actually dealing with people, that's probably a subject that we could touch on briefly is, with the hundreds of people that we've been working with in the last year, what's the best way in dealing with people and, communicating with people. And I would have to say that by again, being on the mat yourself, clearing whatever preconceived ideas that you have about people, judgments, these sorts of things, clearing them within yourself will help clear it for other people. So say, for instance, if you got a big group of people, one person says, I didn't get much out of the session. Well, like, setting it up at the start, they're responsible for that. And then you can have a chat to them and say, hey, what did you want? What did you need? How can you get there? And give them some advice. And it's also very good being I don't like to use the word good, but being a support person for people having experiences, it's really important that you're available to them. Being a great support person, understanding the general of psychology or transpersonal psychology, and being able to support people in what their beliefs are and guide them along their little journey. But basically, they're doing the work. You're just the guide. That's it.
And that, just to sort of get back to the being so many yoga teachers out there, Esteban in particular, yeah, look, I think this is gonna get lumped in with and synonymous with yoga because I think that the whole pranayama side of yoga. Our experience has been that again, it's the cooking bit again. People say they're yoga teachers. People have studied yoga. I've met so many people that have studied things but haven't actually explored things to a depth or to an art. Let's put it that way. There's being an instructor of something, and then there's being an artist in something. And so I think that if you make the link between somebody just saying, oh yeah, I've done pranayama or I did it for a little while, versus, exploring circular breathing, exploring, the circular breathing with breath holds, whatever method that you use with people, breathing meditations, anything like this. I think that it's one of those things where if somebody says, yeah, I know that, great. You know what I mean? Like you sometimes you just have to agree with people and they're actually not the client, or they're not the people that are gonna come to your sessions. So I think that understanding, it was one of the things that I had to learn as an instructor when I was running my business, and that was that you can't help everyone, and some people don't want to be helped. You can't help somebody that doesn't want to help themselves.
Yeah.
And recognizing that, having the courage to recognize that in people and in yourself will really help you sidestep a lot of headaches in any kind of healing or helping type business. If that makes sense.
Yeah, so just looking at the time, we've got about 15 minutes. Yeah. We can open up. Is there any questions or queries? You can unmute yourself and ask a question. Any sort of issues you're dealing with that you'd like to chat about? Thank you, Dr. Julie. She says profound truth. Beautiful.
Has anyone got anything? We just come
you
armed.
Can unmute yourself.
Come armed with your problems and stuff. And look, if you don't, of course, we totally respect the fact that if people don't want to talk about stuff on here.
Yeah.
Totally fine, and we're totally fine if everyone does. And anybody that's invited to our calls, next time we will set up some parameters about it being a safe space and everyone's happy for, for things to be discussed on there. But we will tell you that the recordings will be viewed by other people. So most certainly if there's anything that you want to discuss offline with us, that we have the ability to be able to discuss, please connect with us. We're extremely loving and upfront, and we'll tell you if we can deal with it and if we can't deal with it.
We'll find somebody who can.
Exactly. We'll be able to point you in the right direction. So,
do you have a schedule or a plan for beginners? Let's say how to present and introduce yourself with which exercises. So, going gradually from the simplest ones to the more advanced ones. Especially myself not having that experience more than the 7 days practice. So I need to on that.
Yeah, sure. We are over the course of the weeks in the Christmas period, obviously, given that we're still continuing running seminars, and we've just had the O2 chair land in Australia, so we've got a lot of things going on, but we will be releasing some videos. I just recently released a video on simple techniques to get started that you could literally turn into a 2 or 3 week session for a client to be able to practice it. It's extremely simple, and it's something that the simple things, when people master the simple things of the practice. So, not that I want to get off the subject here, Esteban, so I'll come kind of back to the question, but I found in the past that when someone comes to me and says that they want help, or they want to do some breathing, or they want to engage in something with me, I'll say to them, for example, do this breathing method, and it could be any breathing method that I choose. It could be just 5 in, 5 out. It could be a simple triangle breathing, like the geometric one I did on the video. And I say to them, if you could do that for 2 minutes a day for the next 10 days, I'm happy to work with you. Do you know how difficult it's been for people to do something like that? And that will show you a level of commitment. If someone can't give themselves the gift of breathing consciously or actively for 2 minutes a day, you've got to ask yourself, what are they there for? Like, what do they want? So I would stick to simple things, but I would also stick to giving somebody, I like to call them ordeals. 2 minutes a day breathing is not really an ordeal. I don't consider it, but it is something that you'll see the commitment level of people. And as you guys know that have been to our breathing sessions or have breathed before, even just 2 minutes a day is going to make a difference to you. So watch out for those videos, because you're going to get a lot of, we're going to release, we are actually also still in the process of making an 11-day, was it 11-day or 10-day?
Breath exploration series.
It's a breath exploration. So we're going to do the
some of the basics.
just some simple basics that, and again, it's a, you can make a program up out of that by saying to someone, go through the whole 11 days and then pick one of your favorite ones and do that for the next week. It's as simple as giving people a very simple structure to it.
Yes. So what is going to be released in the next 24 hours is the active breathing meditation. We've created an infographic, and we also have a guided audio for, it can be a 3-minute active breathing meditation, a 10-minute one, or it could be 15 or 20 minutes, just depending on the timings of the breathing rounds and breath hold sessions and such. So that's going to be released within the next 24 hours. We'll make the announcement. So that's something to start off with. I think that if you want to start on session, that is a great
that would be. Do you remember, Esteban? That was the.
Oh, yeah, you were there when we recorded it. Day 7 of the.
That was the morning session where we're doing the paces and spaces. People that weren't there, you'll get.
You'll see it. We'll post it up soon.
Yeah, we're going to post it up. It's a great active meditation. It has enough for busy people that don't know, or people that often tend to say they don't know how to meditate or can't meditate. It's great. It's great for those people because it gives you enough activity in the mind to keep the conscious mind busy while you're actually doing a breathing meditation, and then gives you an opportunity to slip into a meditative state. So it's that'll be a great one. Another one to start out with, but definitely go and check out the videos that we've got on the Facebook page or in the group, and you'll definitely find some stuff.
Check out the YouTube channel as well. We're posting, follow our YouTube channel because we're going to start posting videos regularly to be able to support people in just breath in general. Also, with the active breathing meditation, if doing it yourself, getting really familiar with it, working on the timings, that sort of thing. And then when you feel ready, go ahead and do a group session, active breathing meditation or something, whatever it is that you want to call it for yourself, that sets yourself apart, and just invite people to come for a 1 hour session. You do a quick introduction about yourself, why breathing, and take them through an experience. And what I love about breathing or the breath work or the breath space is that you just can't go wrong with it. If you get it wrong, it still works, and so, and it's not, you don't have to get the formula right for somebody to have an experience. They breathe, they're going to have an experience. It's probably like the easiest thing that you can do. You don't have to go to yoga school and memorize all these moves to be able to have a 1 hour class to put people through.
Yeah, that's important. I mean, normal duty of care when you have people, obviously, and you're taking them, asking them all the appropriate questions, setting the right setting, and allowing them to self-pace themselves. They're definitely going to have an experience with it, and it's a gentle introduction. But that breathing meditation plus the basics breathing video that I did on getting started, they're two that you could easily start with.
Yep. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. So just looking at the time, got about 5 minutes.
And we had Julie. So Julie put up a question there. Yeah, absolutely. Julie, if you're part of the group, the Breathe Well, Live Well group, then we've already got one of the videos that I put up has already been in there, and we'll have that breathing meditation in there too. That'd be a great thing for you to give to your dad if he's open to trying the breathing. It does it. I always like to say to people, you do it anyway. You might as well put
some intention around it.
A little bit of structure or a little bit of oomph into your breathing, and you'll get a lot out of it. Just from the point of view of things like pneumonia. Not that I'm a doctor, or not that I claim to have any medical expertise, but just that point of moving the lungs and getting more energy into the lungs. Plus, again, I'll take a stab and say that pneumonia has probably got a lot to do with stress as well as being an infection. I think you're going to get a lot of relief from doing a breathing practice. I know my dad had a lot of back pain that he thought he was going to have surgery on his back. And when I got him breathing, finally, he was surprised to find out that the pain actually moved in his back. So, here he was thinking that he was going to actually go and have surgery. And as everyone knows, usually they fuse the discs and do all sorts of things like that. He had a very felt sense of the fact that it wasn't so much a structural thing as it probably was, like I explained to him, just bad shit going on in his head.
Well, what we found, it's really interesting, is when you come to a case where you can't medically prove what it is, it's usually down to stress, and that usually has everything to do with your breathing. So that's one of the reasons why we love what we do, is it kind of just fills in the holes, fills in the gaps, the missing link.
It's intimately coupled with your physiology and neurology. So it does change the chemistry in your brain, your head, and it changes the chemistry in the body.
Yeah. There's a really good book about that. We'll have to start a resources page, actually. I'm going to do that. Yeah, so we're going to start a resources page. All our recommended reading, read this book for understanding this and all that sort of a thing. So I'll let you guys know when that's ready as well.
Great.
Okay, good.
Well, if anybody has got any more questions, we're going to wrap it up here soon. We really enjoy doing these.
We're passionate about it.
We invite you to
It's our love.
invite other people.
Esteban's ready to.
Yeah, we're happy for you to invite other people. Like we said, we'd love to anybody that's got any issues, any problems that they'd like to discuss on here, whether it's about business or whether it's about health and wellness. We'd love to hear from you. And without further ado, if we've completed here, anybody got any final? You can unmute yourself if you like.
Oh, actually, this would be great. What's your top takeaways? Just to give us some feedback on how this was. What's your top takeaway? Just write the one thing. What's the one little nugget that you're taking away with you today?
The updates and the plans and the videos you're going to for soon, helping to set up your plan or your mindset.
Great.
Oh, great. Thank you. Good. We're doing that.
Thank you, guys.
What else?
Thank you.
Thank you. I know some of you joined us at the very end, so. Taking responsibility, Ben shares. Yep, that's great. Yeah, it's my breath, he says. Yep, great. Taking responsibility is a great thing. It's interesting, what kind of world would we have if everybody just took responsibility for themselves? And
I don't know. I think that you've got to have people that don't take responsibility to know what responsibility is.
I like
it. I'll let you know a little secret. A little secret. I think the world is actually okay the way it is. It's just where you live and what reality you create. I know that's a debatable subject, and I'm happy to talk to anybody about it. But I think that we really need to look at where we're going and what we're doing, and surround yourself with other people that are doing the same.
Yeah, great. Thank you, guys.
So really quickly,
sure.
Just affirmation for what you guys are doing and validation as well. I don't know if it's communicated. I know that we're blessed to have you guys quite intimately in our lives with our children connecting on a almost daily basis. And it's actually interesting that one of your beautiful daughters has actually helped our daughter breathe through a lot of things when she feels that she's upset or those sort of things. And she comes home now, and if she falls over and hurts herself, she's like, "It's okay, Dad, I'm just going to breathe through it." And those sort of things. So she's got that really beautiful awareness. So what you guys are able to do and then have that transition, is just beautiful and such a gift that you guys give. So thank you. And the best place for me to do that always is in front of other people and let them know that you guys are the shit. And you are genuinely you do really care about your community and those communities. So it's easy to say and effortless to say and thank you. So, and thanks for the opportunity to get on and interact with you guys. I think this is the most I've seen you guys in the last few weeks. So.
I know. Head down, bum up, get working on the breathing business. Good, thank 100%. You for sharing that. That's just made my day. Oh, what a beautiful thing.
Oh, you're both very welcome. So thank you.
Thanks, Ben. And Stuart, I see that you just joined us, but we're just wrapping up. I was just going to say, you'll be able to catch the recording at the end of it. But I just want to acknowledge that I see you there. Hello, welcome. All right, guys. Well, it's been an hour, so we'll just wrap up now and just say thank you all for joining us on this call. We really love being able to have somebody to talk to. So thank you for being there, and we'll post a link to this video, so everybody can view it. Great, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll connect with you soon.
Till the next call, it's not in the words, it's in the practice.
That's right. Oh, I like it.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.